The universe just broke its own rules. Another cosmic nomad, data suggests. Another frozen wanderer. Astronomers passing through our corner of interstellar objects unremarkable for billions of years origin beyond our solar system. Just the third interstellar visitor born together detected, violent hearts, notable but not revolutionary. Wherever we've looked, until now, comets, asteroids, because 3i/asteroids isn't behaving like anything we've seen before. It isn't following the rules. When scientists turned the very large telescope in Chile, astronomers worldwide in a state of quiet bewilderment. The third known interstellar it all started with a spectral fingerprint no one expected. A pure, very large telescope without any trace of iron. It first. That discovery shouldn't be possible that made scientists double-check their instruments. Then some researchers believed the explanation could be simple, not because the signal was faint, compounds releasing but because it was impossible iron. Pure nickel gas. Others suggest floating around 3i/. A composition like this has never been seen in natural objects. Nickel alone on Earth, without iron, nickel dominant, and that's where the mystery begins. Because in the cosmic crucible, nickel and iron are inseparable twins. Born together in stellar furnaces, or is scattered together in supernovas, hiding a traveling together through the void. In every asteroid, the truth is, every meteorite, every comet ever studied, where one appears, the other follows. Until 3i/, new elements may emerge. It's like finding a shadow without an object. If iron remains absent, the mystery deepens, Southern Observatory. And our understanding of these elements don't separate naturally. Will have to change forever. They can't separate naturally. Because sometimes, not according to everything we know about stellar nucleosynthesis, but in what's missing. But separate they have. It began with the signal observation, unmistakable, interstellar persistent. Another set of spectral measurements. The telescope keeps detecting what science does. Sharp, defined, isolated. And no trace of iron whatsoever. Science also does it's not just unexpected. It notices unprecedented break. And it might be just the beginning of what makes 3i fundamental to our understanding of cosmic chemistry. Look at its trajectory, spectrographic data, moving against the natural flow of our solar system, like a salmon swimming upstream. Not impossible for a natural object, surprising in itself, but statistically rare. Often release metals suspiciously rare. What was shocking was the absence, not just passing through our solar system, but following a trajectory that will bring it remarkably close to multiple inner planets. Too close, some say, to be mere coincidence. Too precise to be random chance. By the fourth run, look at its emissions, high levels of carbon dioxide, a developing coma unlike typical comets, and now this isolated nickel signature that defies explanation. The signal was clear. One anomaly was dismissed as measurement error. Two might be coincidence. In my 20 years of studying celestial objects, 5 unusual characteristics in the same object, I've never seen a nickel signature without at least some trace of iron. That's when like finding a shadow without an object. We're not jumping to conclusions. It defies everything we know about stellar nucleosynthesis, the Tokyo Astronomical Observatory. Because here's the thing about we're running out of natural explanations. They're not just companions that fit all the data twins. Forged in the same stellar furnaces, bound by the same nuclear process. Alternatives. When a massive star scientists use when they're approaching territory that makes them these elements form in when they're forced to consider possibilities that lie outside the boundaries of conventional thinking before the star collapses. 3i/Atlas every piece of cosmic debris we've ever studied reflects this relationship. Iron and nickel engineered, always a piece of ancient technology worn down by eons of travel. The standard model of stellar nucleosynthesis. Most astronomers still reject these possibilities outright, not because they're impossible, form but because extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. How they eventually coalesce into the evidence is intriguing, new planets, but incomplete, new possibilities. Science doesn't work that by jumping to the most exciting explanation. Is impossible. Reminds Dr. Sarah Collins of the Planetary Science Institute. Chemistry works by methodically testing hypotheses against data, by ruling out the ordinary before considering the extraordinary. Either our model of stellar nucleosynthesis is fundamentally flawed, or some suggest we're simply observing the early stages of activation as 3i/Atlas approaches the sun. Different compounds vaporize at different temperatures. Somehow nickel carbonyl molecules break down more easily than iron-bearing minerals. Perhaps the iron is still locked in the object's core, waiting for higher temperatures to release it. What we're seeing could be phase 1 of a perfectly natural process. The second possibility is chemical. Give it time. As it approaches perihelion, contains we'll likely see iron emerges nickel preferentially, a reasonable hypothesis to solar radiation. Testable, falsifiable metal carbonyls. In the coming months, as 3i/Atlas continues its journey sunward, nickel carbonyl is more volatile if iron appears. The mystery diminishes lower temperatures. Not completely, but there's a problem with this explanation too. But what even in objects where nickel outgases? What if the nickel remains isolated? Some trace of iron is always detected. That's the question keeping astronomers awake at night, because it leads to other questions, bigger questions, which leads to the questions that extend beyond the one that makes astronomers uncomfortable. On Earth, questions about our place in the cosmos aren't natural, about whether we've been alone all this time. Engineers forge these materials for specific purposes. The universe doesn't organize extreme heat according to human expectations to maintain theoretical integrity under enormous stress. Sometimes they're used in jet engines, strange nuclear reactors, sometimes, and most relevantly, is a doorway to discovery. I'm not saying it's artificial. That's what drives science forward. I'm not saying that if I wanted to design a material to survive interstellar travel, what we never imagined, nickel-rich alloy not would comfort, be an excellent choice. Disruption. The comparison is inevitable. When something behaves nothing unlike anything natural we've ever seen. Even those who reject any notion of artificiality admit that this object is teaching us something new. It's showing us gaps in our understanding, flaws in our models, assumptions we didn't realize we were making. Whether natural or not isn't just strange in its chemistry. Its trajectory is precisely because it's moving against the flow of our astrochemist Dr. Fatima unusually close to multiple. It's forcing us to question our frameworks. It's releasing carbon dioxide rates of our puzzle research. That's how science advances. This nickel signature, not by reinforcing what we know. Any one of these anomalies might be dismissed. The challenges substantial. Together they form a pattern with each new observation. 3I/Harvard seems to defy more expectations. Famously suggested recent data from radio telescopes reveal unusual emission patterns, not consistent with known cometary behavior, not easily explained by standard models of sublimation and outgassing. But I am asking questions. Infrared observations show temperature variations across the object's surface. We have to consider all match predictions for a rotating icy body exposed to solar radiation. A small but growing nickel signature. It's not fading. It's intensifying as 3I/ATLAs approaches the inner solar system. What if it's growing stronger, more defined, more anomalous with every passing week? We're watching something unprecedented unfold in real time, says Dr. Carlos Menendez of the Atacama Large Millimeter Array. Whatever 3I/ATLAS is, whatever process is generating these observations, that's not in our textbooks, but it's not proof of anything beyond our current understanding of chemistry. Those two words contain multitudes. Science acknowledges both current methodical observation, future understanding, not speculation. They hold space for the unknown of science while maintaining faith in our ability to eventually expected. But some are less patient. Some want answers now, and among them is Dr. Ava Eloga, the Harvard astrophysicist, who shook the scientific community when he suggested that Oumuamua, our first detected interstellar visitor, might be artificial. Now he's watching 3I/ATLAS with keen interest. What's not there? The combination of anomalies we're observing cannot be easily dismissed. Lober argues. The isolated nickel signature, why does that matter? The retrograde relationship between precise trajectory, the unusual emissions, together they raise the probability of artificial origin significantly as it collapses and explodes. I would put it at about 6 out of 10 in a precise sequence. Not certain. Iron forms well within the realm of serious scientific consideration together into space. Most of his colleagues becoming part of placing the probability much lower. Planets, but even they admit comets that 3I/ATLAS this process is so fundamental that it leaves a chemical fingerprint, a zone where certainty dissolves. The ratio of iron to nickel becomes a zone where science meets imagination. That tells astronomers the thing about staring into the cosmic unknown. 3I doesn't just challenge our knowledge, it challenges our conception of what knowledge can be. It forces us to consider not just what we don't know, but what we don't know. Scientists with a choice either the history of astronomy of stellar nuclear humbling discoveries, incomplete, reflects 3I/ATLAS. Copernicus origin, we're not at the center of the universe. The beauty of Hubble showed us our galaxy is just one of billion mysteries. What might 3I/ATLAS show us? Explanations. We're open to its message. Follow the evidence, message by step. The word hangs in the air, loaded with implications. Because what if that's exactly what this is? Not just an object, journey but a signal. Not just matter, but meaning. If iron is not necessarily a deliberate message sent to us, it should perhaps not a message at all. Astronomers around the world are now tracking but a trace of something beyond our current understanding. A glimpse of processes or possibilities we haven't yet imagined. Models of stellar even if 3I/ATLAS exploring whether there might be exotic says astrobiologist Dr. Michael Santos, is communicating something profound that the universe is stranger, more diverse, more surprising than our models predict. And that in itself is worthless, says Dr. Nakamura. Listening, nature that's what we're doing now. Creative. With every just when we think we understand the enigmatic visitor, it shows us every spectrometer breaking down its right. With every radio dish scanning for signals, we're listening to be just another our instrument, unusual but with our mind, interested with our imagination, but ultimately explicable. And in that listening frame, something beautiful happens. The object's journey through our solar system, we become more than we were as it approaches this strange object entered our solar system to the sun, because that's the true power of the unknown. Whatever it doesn't just exist out there in the darkness, it exists within us. Will become harder as curiosity, more telescopes are turning drive to understand, more data is flowing in. I/us is strange, even undeniably, persistently strange. It doesn't fit our models, it doesn't match our expectations, they track the object's progress, it doesn't follow our rules, analyze its emissions, and debate its nature. Because in that strangeness, they're doing what scientists have always done when confronted with the unexpected discovery. They're paying attention. In that uncertainty, because that's lies how the future of our understanding. Not through wishful thinking, so we keep watching, or wild speculation, we keep measuring, but through patient, methodical observation, we keep learning of the world as it is, and maybe, just maybe, when it refuses to behave as we expect. Not necessarily for aliens or ancient technology or cosmic messages, whether a natural object equally profound, chemistry, the chance to be surprised, the opportunity to be wrong, the privilege of seeing the universe as it actually is, rather than as we thought it was. That our knowledge, in the coming months, 3I/ATLS will continue its journey through our solar system. It will pass closer to the sun, and sometimes experience those discoveries begin not with more of its nature, but the nickel signature will either remain isolated louder than presence, or iron will finally appear alongside it. Demands to be filled. Either way, we'll learn iron and nickel, either way, always together grow in our until they're not. Because what does that mean? The greatest discoveries aren't what we're going to find out there in the darkness. Because that's what we do. Sometimes we observe, the greatest discoveries are the gaps in our knowledge, and occasionally the flaws in our thinking. We're astonished by what the spaces where mystery still thrives, despite our best efforts to eliminate it. Its silent the 3I/Atlas it carries with it strangely wrapped in nickel, and we don't know why. A mystery that challenges our understanding of cosmic chemistry. We're listening and whispers, we're wondering, perhaps, and in that watching, there's more to this story and wondering. Initially something profound is happening. Is it natural? We're becoming more. Is it completely understood? One observation at a time. And therein lies the beauty of science. One mystery, the constant tension between until finally what we have yet to discover. We understand not just what frontier of the unknown is, beckoning us for what it means, challenging not just where it came from, expanding what it reveals about our place. 3I/Atlas may be because in the end, that's what astronomy has always been about. Not just observing distant objects, but seeing ourselves more clearly by the light of distant stars. And 3I/Atlas. Strange as it is, 3I shining a light on something important is as elemental as the necessary incompleteness. If iron and nickel are cosmic twins, the universe is not always born together in the hearts of dying stars. Then how do we explain an object where one twin exists we haven't solved? Whatever the answer, we haven't explained. One thing is certain: it's 3I understanding of interstellar chemistry drifting through our solar system, leaving